So my name is Harpreet Kang, and I have obviously been with the organization from its inception, which is about a year and a half before the college actually took off. And right now, or I should say until about 3 years back, I used to look after a few segments or 50% of the segments. Now I do more of it since Dr. Kang has taken over into politics. So I'm taking care of a larger number of other things as well. But when you go back to 25 years back, or rather, should I say 26 and a half years back, it wasn't just that year and just that month that we thought about it. It was more of what was brewing ever since I reached Ludhiana. And I came to Ludhiana as a grown-up young adult. I had heard about Ludhiana being an industrial town and all that, and a few skirmishes over summer breaks, visiting after my Nana ji and Nani who were living here, retired and all. But it wasn't really all that. It wasn't very smart. It wasn't what I thought, because I'd come out of the Air Force campuses and the students and the kids were very smart there. Even without the internet age, people knew the world, that sort of thing. And the conversations were very meaningful. So I missed that. And I used to ask around, like, these are industrialist kids and where are they? And why don't I meet someone who I can really enjoy a conversation with? And it got to a point where I began to find out that most kids would pick up a degree either in Bangalore, not Bangalore then, or Pune, Symbiosis or something, or SP Jain, Narsi Monji, Mumbai, or try for CAT. CAT was big then. And people didn't want to live in Ludhiana because they didn't have a very good education, I might say. And that was a gap. Right at my onset, as soon as I became an adult and came to the city, I understood that there is a gap here. I didn't study business, so I didn't know what it was processing. I'm sure neither did Dr. Kang, because his father was a principal scientist, and he also grew up and came here. I think we were both striving for, with Dr. Kang's father being a principal scientist and an academician. My mom was an academician. She was a principal. So it was kind of in the veins, and we were like, there's something wrong and we need to sort of sort it out. And then at one point of time, we found out that PTU is now allowing private colleges to come up. We were like, we got to try this. Remember, Dr. Kang was from management. I was a journalist. So both of us were also intellectually driven. The conversations at home were intellectually driven. I was working with Times of India for about 5.5 years. When I came here, that was and Dr. Kang was teaching at the University of Business Management in PAU. And the conversations were always driven. And then we couldn't start a university because only Sarkari universities existed. So we found out we could earn more, at least preparing kids by the evenings, to get them ready for MBA. So we started this actually very early. I think when we got engaged, that's the first thing we talked about. I remember my engagement, my mom-in-law and my father-in-law, both of them have passed now. They said, how would you manage a home? You both are, I was still a student when we got engaged. I was just finishing my degree in another 6 months. And Dr. Kang was getting a PAU salary. And the question was, the house that you want to live in, the rent is worth his salary. How are you going to manage? And I was like, that's not a problem at all. So they looked at my face, and my mom of me has always been this herself a Fauji kid and a grandkid. And that's how she raised me. The first day I said, I want pocket money or something. She said, okay, go work. I'm like, are you crazy? I'm 3 years old, 4 years old. What do you want me to do? She says, okay, dust the house. Every room that you dust, I'll give you 25 paisa. And if you clean up the store over the weekends, I'll give you 1 rupee. We started the journey with money that way. And then it went on. There was a point of time where I iron clothes at home. And she'd tell me, look, I give you the same amount of money that I give to the ironer, and you use my power, electricity. So I'm doing you a favor. I was like, okay, understood, right? Till I got to higher classes and I could take tuitions for smaller kids and make a better living, in so many words. So when this question came up, I was like, yeah, I'll do something. Don't worry about it. So we were like at a point of time when people usually take time to prepare for their wedding. I think about the month or 2 months before our wedding, I was going around all colleges, existing colleges, and picking up the database for undergrads. and they wouldn't allow you to photocopy because it was their data. So I had to sit down and write it down for hours in grueling heat. And then by the nights, we would go and put up these posters saying that we were about to start this academy of sorts. And I categorically remember we would take Kang's old car. It used to be a Maruti 800, and there'd be a huge box of glue at the back and these posters. And because they would really chase after you in the day, so we'd go when the sun would set, and we'd put them outside the GCB, GCW, KCW, blah, blah, blah. And also it got about a year, 2 years down the line, I think we took the I'm a Nodal Center. It's something parallel to IGNU. So it has a distance learning education, and by the weekends the students come. So we installed entire setup, and that was all I had. So I still don't have my ears pierced and all, and I was never a person with jewelry. So whatever my mom and dad had given me and my in-laws had given me, it was lying in a box somewhere. So when this opportunity came up, lakh rupees ka hoega ek side ka, like isko bech do. So we gave it up and took that IMA membership, and we installed our entire satellite setup and all. We started running classes over the weekend. So 1999 we started, but actually 1997 we bought the land, because that's the year PTU was set up. And then we went on to pick up the Red Book, which is like Holy Bible to say what to do. And we kind of put it all down. Those many classes, those many labs, that many computers, that many journals, books, and finally the teachers. And voila, one final day, the inspection team came up in 1998. Of course, they'd given us the letter of consent to go ahead and build. Everything was on, which means you can go and invest. And when they came, they did an inspection. I don't know what was wrong, but we didn't get it. The only thing we were told later on was that we didn't know how to bribe. Remember Fauji kids? Yeah, through and through, pathetic. So, and Dr. Kang also, you know, all of them, about 5 PhDs in that family. Usko bhi nahi aata tha. So we had a tough time. Then that entire year we sat on that piece of land and all that we had invested. And I remember we had to borrow more money to pay the interest on the last bit that we had picked up. Things got bad. And my father, who was a big pillar to this institution, my father, Kang, and me, we were the 3 original runners. And I think both of them are far taller pillars than me. I was that little kid who was just following instructions and running around trying to understand. Because A, I wasn't from management, and B, I didn't have my dad's experience. So there you go. And he took us finally, the whole family, everyone, my brother, his family, my family. He made a stand in Campus 1 and he said, okay, have a look. If you don't get it next year, what are you going to do? I'm like, okay, we could at least sell the lawn. It's a green piece right up there in the beginning. He said, that's the only thing that you can sell. The rest is already built, so you may not be able to sell it. I'm like, all right. So we finally stood there for about half an hour, understood that how many years each of us would have to work. Actually work a few jobs, each of us. Like I was doing 3 jobs before the college anyway, for about 4 years plus. So he said, you'll have to do that many jobs for that many years to pay off. So you get ready for the worst and then you can fight. You accept it. I think that's the biggest lesson. So they actually finally took us a bit of money, went to Chandigarh, sat outside somebody's home who we thought could help. Sat there for maybe 3 hours in the summers, and they couldn't get inside and do something about it. Came back. So we're like, finally, all right, we understand that this is not our cup of tea. Next year came, another time, another inspection, everything is fine. And that point of time, PTU used to do these, counseling sessions. Students didn't get directly admitted. So they would go to the university and in Jalandhar, Kapurthala, and they would all say, that's my ranking in the exam, MAT exam or the PT. And then the university will say, okay, now you get to choose, because you're number 5, you get to choose. You're number 100, then you get to choose. 3 days this counseling will go on. So the first day the counseling began and nothing had happened. We had not received approval and it was beyond our understanding now what to do. So that day I invited, in fact, I was a journalist, if you remember, I invited the entire media to what is now called A Hotel. to Garewal's. We said, all right, let's sit down and talk. Here are the photos, because if you were welcome to come to the campus, but if you don't come, here are the photos. Here is the red book. Here are the photocopies of the red book. Here's the letter given to us that go ahead and bill by the government. And it's been about more than a year and we are sitting on this and we would love to understand what the hell is going on. Long story short, next morning that article appeared and we were invited to Chandigarh to collect our letter. We picked up the letter the third day, which is, the rand khoons jinu kende hai, the leftovers. We went finally to the university to pick up the students. And those were our first 100 students of the first batch. The least intelligent or studious or whatever you want to call it. And God bless me, we are right now at number 2 in the country by so many surveys on ROI, return on investment. And this is our 26th year. I have yet to see a better batch. Honestly, I don't know what university or our education system, I think it needs a good relooking. Or maybe because it was our first batch, everybody was so deeply involved. But to cut the chase of those 100 students started what you now call Koshish. They started Ehsaas. Our first MBA batch, for example, out of the leftovers, picked up, I think Dr. Kang is the right person, but first, second, third, fifth, seventh, and ninth position. And we did it all in the first couple of years itself. And I think all of us, we still know every single child out of them. So Dr. Kang was, he's a graduate, he's an engineer from NIT Kurukshetra. And back in his days, he had done a lot of organizing of fests and events. So this was his baby. He wanted it. And that's why Ehsaas was born. And usually the names came from everyone. It was like always in the campus, okay, who would like to, any student could Christian a fest or teacher could Christian a fest. And so we got to the point where we said, okay, we should go around and meet all the local colleges and invite them in the region. And how to do it so that they would come. So we said, because we are such a baby college, just 1 year old, let's all go together. Let's pull out a rally, which would of course A, be fun rally also for students, and B, they would feel like, so many students have come to invite us. So imagine 15 into 4 or 5, that's the number of, 21 into 4 or 5, I apologize. That's the number of people who went out, which means the whole college went out in so many words. Everybody who had a car took a car and everybody else got in. And in fact, initial years, Koshish was a very small thing. Ehsaas was always the bigger thing. There was a whole lot of hullabaloo in the campus because this was in-house. Much later, they all came together and merged. Turf also happened. So now it's one fest. It's called a festive week. But initially, there were 2 separate events. And the festivities were at Ehsaas because there were so many colleges coming to the campus. And Koshish was an inside thing, the first initial cup, 2 or 3 years. In fact, a few years down the line, I took Ehsaas to Pakistan. And I hosted one Ehsaas in NCBA Lahore, where a lot of Pakistan, they had already come and participated with us before that, a few times. About 3 or 4 years they had come, participated, and then they said, we want to host Ehsaas there. We're like, super. So we sent letters from here to all the colleges, and we already had, at that point of time, 7 or 8 tie-ups with different MOUs with different universities and colleges. And they came, plus NCBA Lahore also invited several of them. ICRA came, Zabist came, a lot of universities came and participated from all over Pakistan. And that was amazing. I think that was one of the best Ehsaas we've had. So Ehsaas has grown since then. And then, of course, the festivities grew in a different dimension because, like I said, they all came together. A couple of things more that were added. When the whole festive week came together, we also had a concert night. And off late in the past, about 6 or 7 years now, we also have what is called Punjab PCTE Mr. and Miss Punjab. And this was earlier Ludhiana, but then it grew. People started coming from beyond Ludhiana. So we rephrased it. Now there are 4 plus concert, 5 mega events in that festive week. Let me take a sip.
In the next segment, ma'am, staff that has been with you since the beginning. So Swapna sir has been with you since the academy.
Mm.
And then the other Gautam sir was there. And if you could name a few of the teachers that we have.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, we come to the international students.
Sure.
For you.
Yeah, we have some people who've been with us for a quarter of a century. Gautam was with us, Dr. Gautam Bansal. He did a PhD later. In fact, recently he's moved out, but Swapan was there even minus the college. He was there with us at the academy that I talked about, and he's still here. Then some of the initial batches, even Rajpreet sir was the first IB batch that we had, and he's still here with us. And so forth. So there are a lot of people who have been here for a long time, like Miss Seema Thakur. She's here nearly at she started with the onset of pharmacy college, and she's still here. And similarly, the first international students happened only a couple of years after we started, in fact. And at that point of time, Dr. Kang, who just turned 30, a very young, early 30s, I should say, not just turned 30. He was in early 30s. He was on the board of studies and one of the deans at PTU. Yeah, he was the youngest. And therefore, he was invited to the then CM, the first tenure of Captain Amrinder Singh, for a delegation conversation with from Limpopo, Ministry of Limpopo was there, the education department, and the PTU delegation went from this side. And Dr. Kalam's colleague, Dr. Rajan, Y.S. Rajan, was the then Vice Chancellor. So he'd sent Dr. Kang. He was a thorough intellectual. Also a scientist who'd worked with Dr. Kalam on several projects, and he was heading PTU. So he sent Dr. Kang. And when the conversation started, they wanted to see an MOU or sort of collaborate. This was 2001, to collaborate with Punjab and see how to improve. When I say Ministry of Limpopo, I'm talking about South Africa's one province. And during the conversations, there were a few other representatives of PTU and a few colleges. He offered that he'd love to offer the first set of scholarships at PCTE. So these were 5 students who came from South Africa to study at PCTE. One was in MBA, Farzana, and the rest of the 4 were in undergrads. So, yeah, they're brilliant kids. Again, I don't know what it is, but the first few batches are really etched out in our head. And they did a fantastic job. Each one of them is still in touch with us. They've got married, they have kids. Moses, Goodman, Coco, Cocat Joe, we called her Coco shortly, Amanda, and all of them, and Farzana, like I talked about. And we are still connected over social media and all. I hope they're going to visit us soon, someday. Since then, so it became like, they went back and somebody from Ghana came. Someone spoke to somebody. And slowly this whole thing, initially it was a very lean number, but then it became bigger. So the college was also lean, honestly. It wasn't like there were big batches or a big this thing. It's only in 2007 when we reached this campus that the exponential growth happened in numbers. So, but then also it grew because pharmacy was added, hotel management was added, so courses also grew soon after tourism started off. And therefore, people started applying for different fields. So it was a slow, linear, but a gradual inverted pyramid that sort of started opening out. Oh yes, now usually about 10% of the population is international. So when we have 4,000 students, about 400 are international, on a rough idea. And they're representing about 40, 45 countries at any given point of time. I mean, on the whole, we've had more than 63 odd countries, but at any given point of time, we have about 40 plus usually, varying from time to time. I don't see any challenges. There's not a day when I feel I would have done it differently, or I don't find running the college challenging. And I'm not saying there haven't been challenges, but it's all been great. I mean, of course, none of us would have grown without it, right? And therefore, reflecting back, everything that happened was wonderful. There was a day I was sitting in Dr. Kang's office and he was away. I was 26. And this pantry boy, the PN, came up to me. And I quote him in Punjabi. And he goes, Madam, ona motor kharab hogi. And that's exactly how he spoke. That's his animated version. So, and I look at him and I said, okay, so I'm looking left, right, there's nobody. I'm supposed to do something about this. I'm like, okay, ठीक करवा लेंगे? This is, no. He had to drill it in. He said, you don't understand. There's no water in the washroom. There are lots of girls and boys in the campus. And I'm like, damn, okay. And Dr. Kang's not here, so I'm supposed to fix it. And I don't know how to fix it. No? So you apply your head. And there's this tiniest of problems that you would have seen. And then, of course, so much has happened. We've lost kids on the way, you know. We've seen COVID. Everyone's seen so much which has happened. But you learn and you grow and you get better and you mature.
Our freedom to evolve is the motto that we have. So keeping in mind freedom to evolve. The logo and the motto, as you call it. Do you call it the motto? Freedom to evolve. These are my babies, both of them. And when I built this logo, it was about a solid base at the bottom where PCT is written and on which the globe kind of stands, the PCT globe. And out of it breaks through. There are 3 lines that break through that globe and they go across. And on the left, it says freedom to evolve. And I think it's not necessarily so much to do with any... I personally think it's like my personal mantra in life, which kind of played out eventually. Because when I was raising my kids, I would usually not say no to them. You know, you have a bad cold, you want to have ice cream, have a complete brick, get done with it, you know. It's like that. And then you're done and then you say, okay, now I know. So even now, my first attempt and my last attempt is never to say no. So as these both boys grew up, they did their own mistakes and kind of learned from it. I feel that is what freedom to evolve is. And they kind of grew up together. As I said, Gunars and college were born together. So even over here, that was the whole aspiration for me, to give the students a lot of place to grow. Not just by not saying no and saying a big yes to them and pushing them, but also giving them lots of avenues. We have literature, we have sports, we have dance, we have theater, we have music. And after that, we have about 50 other things. You know, like there's Entrepreneur Cell, there's Raw War, there are Grand Thursdays, there's a whole paraphernalia out there. Now, even right now, there are about 15 massive clubs which are doing very well, and they all go and do stuff. There's Adventure Club, there's chess. So the whole agenda was that everyone should have something to go to. We all are born with different intelligences, regardless of what the engineers and the mathematicians believe, that they are the intelligent ones. I personally believe people don't know how to communicate. They could be the best scientists, you know? So the different kinds of intelligences, and depending on what they're blessed with, each one should be able to go and express and achieve something in the field they like. So that was the basic goal for Freedom to Evolve, as well as the co-curriculars and the clubs and everything, which are a big part of PCT. Now, referring to the vision, as I said, the vision initially did start off with saying excellence, bringing it back to the city, providing a place where people could come, grow, have the freedom to evolve, excel, become far better versions of themselves. A special note would only be that I believe, like I said, each one of us is capable, no matter how difficult at points life seems to be. I know that they all have a special bit, and it's only a matter of time when faculty or their mentors or sometimes their friends or the environment can identify that in them and nudge them towards it. And that's about it. And then it's a takeoff from there. And once they take off, the world is theirs. Because in that respective field, that vertical, that genre, they will have a world which they can explore and fly in. That's my aspirations for the students. And I believe they all can. Those who believe they can't, I know they can. It's only a matter of time before they realize. No, I think we come and we go. Legacies are, I think it's a stupid thing to call it. Because you come, and the minute you come, you know that you have to go. So the buildings stay, the institutions stay, the world stays, but you don't. So legacy is a stupid idea, because I think the new world will have new things to bring in. Look at what is happening right now. And for example, think about PCTE after 5 years, without digitalizing itself, without picking up enough technology. Who would like to come here? It would be like going to a Baba Adam ke Zamane ka college then. It's just buildings, right? So what would the legacy then mean? Because it's a very fast era. And I believe each one of us, whoever is doing in whichever department, at whatever role, whatever we're doing, we all have to kind of get out there and do our bit. It's just living like right here, right now. There's nothing like a legacy. I can do what I do now, today, and then today is gone, and then tomorrow is another day. That's it. You live that one. You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me.